Greetings, beloveds. Let's talk about things that are hardly discussed when it comes to the breakout strategy. But first, I greet you in the love light of the one infinite creator. All right, so let's begin here with a discussion. And really, I don't have a plan on how this is going to go, but let's talk about some of the things that are hardly ever discussed. Let's take a look at a stock here. We can see there was a breakout attempt. We can even take this breakout here that ultimately fails. And by failure, I'm talking about it tried here, went down, and it tried again here and went down. So, and I'll come back to this. The question becomes, after this initial failure, where do you move your next breakout level? So logic would say, after this initial breakout, you can take the next breakout attempt there as your future breakout. So instead of tracking this breakout, you set a new breakout alert, which, by the way, takes a lot of work. And I'll come back to this point about setting alerts and the amount of work it takes, because it's something that is not appreciated or discussed a lot. And I think it really does determine whether you are able to follow major breakouts and be part of a successful group that is breaking out, or a market that is in full-fledged bull market. So let's say you set the stage, or you set a breakout alert for the next breakout, and let's say it fails. Now what do? Do you give up on the stock entirely? By the way, I need to mention something here. So if we take this couple of breakouts here, and there's another breakout here recently, this is a weekly chart, doesn't matter the stock, it could be any stock. But this breakout here, and this subsequent breakout here that failed, all of this, of course, we can see went down. There is no way my subscribers would have owned this, or my paid clients. There's no way, because we can see here these breakouts are this period here and this breakout here, and you can see in those periods this doesn't meet our minimum requirements for the ultimate Muade breakout. So there's no way we would even have had an interest in that. So sometimes just knowing what to look for. Actually, I jumped ships here. That was a wrong stock. I was wrong ticker. So there's the highlighted stock here. This is where we had this failed breakout here and here. And you can see in both instances of the breakouts, they did not meet our minimum requirements. You can see the RSI is not where it needs to be as per the ultimate Muade breakout. And you can see that the MACDs were definitely not even close to giving us our buy signal. So some of the things that are not discussed when trading breakouts is just understanding minimum requirements. If you don't understand those minimum requirements, there's no way you can participate in major runs, and also means that you're going to be extremely frustrated by failed breakouts, as we see this failed breakout here and this failed breakout here. Let me give you a recent example. And the recent example is, take a look at the dollar here. So the dollar recently, if you follow my weekend analysis, which I have been doing weekend video analysis for paid clients for almost 22 years straight. So 22 years straight. Every weekend, I put out an exclusive market analysis video. But this is the dollar chart, and I was talking about this breakout in the dollar doesn't meet our minimum requirements. And in my opinion, looks like I would not be putting a lot of emphasis on the dollar going higher. Yes, the dollar has had a nice recovery off the lows here. Yes. But it just doesn't seem to have the legs. And the reason is very simple. If you take a look at the monthly chart, again, we see the same thing here. We can see that our monthly chart, as of right now, doesn't meet the minimum requirements for the ultimate Muade breakout. Doesn't meet the minimum requirements. So even though it is going higher, but my suspicion over the last couple of weeks was that this eventually is going to roll over just based on those minimum requirements. The point is that just understanding the minimum requirements is enough to keep you away from instruments that are not poised to have a substantial run. Now, consequently, let's take a look at another example here, and I'll go back a couple years. Now we're taking a look at gold. This is GLD, and what I want to discuss here is there was a couple years ago, remember I've been doing this for 22 years, but a couple years ago, a GLD was exciting people when it was trying to break out here. It ultimately failed. It tried to break out again here and ultimately failed. And again, you're going to understand that the reason is not very complicated, and I stated that at the time for clients. We had a lot of reasons to understand that this did not meet the minimum requirements. These breakouts were a trap. They were a trap. Now, I'll also discuss why I gave out a breakout alert for gold here. What changed? Well, what changed is what the RSI did right here. Something changed. It met the minimum requirements for the ultimate Moade breakout at that point. And so this is a desirable entry, and the other previous alerts were of no interest as far as I was concerned. Now, by the way, this is also confirmed by the MACDs at the time. So you can see by the time we are getting this breakout here in gold, which I don't know how anybody would have missed that if you are following gold. But what was different is here it met the minimum requirements. That's the point I'm trying to make. Not all the breakouts that we see out there are the same. And then I was talking about the amount of work it takes to track these breakouts. This is something that is not appreciated, because it might seem like, yes, you just buy a breakout and either it works or it doesn't work, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. Case in point here. So this is a stock that has recently spiked. In fact, yesterday it was up 50%. Yesterday alone was up 50%. But I started tracking this stock going back a couple years ago. And in fact, I gave out a series of breakout alerts here for paid clients. Series of breakout alerts. And this is what is not appreciated. The number of times I have had to adjust my pivots, my breakout levels, because every time it fails, you have to adjust the breakout and depending on the situation, have new breakout alerts, or you have to keep the same breakout alert in case the stock comes back again. So if I kept the same breakout alert, you can see later on, there's another failed breakout here. Now these ones, I do admit they meet the minimum requirement. And that's the other thing, is even when they meet the minimum requirements, it doesn't mean that you're going to see a successful run. But at least what I'm saying here is at least you should have a process, a method of setting breakouts and adjusting your breakouts. Believe it or not, I spend easily 6 to 7 hours every single day, and I've done that for 22 years, adjusting pivots, adding new candidates, new stocks, new ETFs, adjusting their pivots when they break out, when they make new highs. Always spending hours and hours a day adjusting for pivots. So at least I know what's moving, what's not moving. I don't see how anybody with a job and has to go to other commitments can keep up with all the volatility in a market. Now, for example, this stock here, BB, again, could be any instrument, but you can see that this stock, if you take a look on my paid website, how many times I mentioned this stock in 2023, BBA here. So you can see lots of breakout alerts, especially in 2023. You can see going back to 2023, February, we got February, March, April, and again another breakout in April again, another one in May. This is 2023. And all of these were failed breakouts. So do we give up? Again, back to the chart here. All these were failed breakouts. I gave a couple of breakout alerts. Nothing happened here. Do we give up, or do we continue tracking the stock if the minimum requirements are met? I did give another breakout alert here in February that failed also. But you know what's interesting? Don't give up, because as the month of January was coming to a close, I set a new breakout alert. Again, you have to be tracking these things. I set a new breakout alert for this stock and sent out a breakout alert just a couple days ago for this new breakout. And this was February 4th, the breakout alert, another breakout alert for BBBA. Let me take, the stock was trading at 480, having just moved about 4.53. And the next day, the stock jumped up and was up as much as 50 to 51% for the day at the highs. So the breakout alert was sent here. Finally, we managed to get a good ride in the stock. Now, that's not to say that this is a day trading service that I offer, but we tend to hold to these stocks for as long as they can run up. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. So sometimes you get the timing just right, and sometimes you miss the timing. Let me give you an example. This is Palantir. So the other day, right here on this day, I was about to send out a breakout alert to subscribers, but I did not. Can't remember the reason why. The next day, stock gaps up almost 22%. So I missed that trade for Palantir. But it's all good. Why? Because if you go back, we had great timing for this stock. So our entry actually goes for this stock goes back here in middle of 2024 last year. So this most recent move from here to here is really a continuation of a breakout that we had entered here. And that's why I say, I know, we live in a TikTok world where everything is in seconds, but the true moves come in months. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In fact, my research has shown me over the years that stocks can give you the biggest move within a 6 to 9 month period. This is where the sweet spot is. So if you're trading the stock for 60 seconds, you're never going to be part of these mega moves. Never. It is impossible. By the way, a quick search for Palantir, we can see on my website here again for paid clients. Man, we were all over this stock in the middle of 2024. Again, from about May to April. So you can see all this is May, April breakout alert, May breakout alert, June breakout alert, all over the stock. Again, another one in July, another one in August. But see, it makes sense because if you go back to the chart, this is the monthly, the breakout alerts were coming in this period here, just as the stock was beginning to climb. This is where we had a concentration of breakout alerts. Why? Because I could see what was happening here. It's not that complicated if you follow the ultimate MOA, the breakout. So the MACDs and the RSI was giving us that change in its behavior. So of course you have to take note that something is about to change as far as the stock is concerned right there. And if you're keeping numbers here, this is a breakout level in the mid 20s. It's going to trade as high as 110 so far. And that's the monthly. If you take a look at the weekly, you can see what I was trying to do is try and time all these breakouts on the weekly. In fact, recently I was trying to time this most recent breakout, but I failed to get this one. As I said, I was a day late before the gap up here. But what I'm saying is a lot of work that needs to be done. Tracking this every day, every week, adjusting pivots, moving them up depending on whether they failed or not. And there's just no way you can succeed in the market without doing the work. You have to be adjusting your pivots. There's just no other way because stocks don't move in a straight line. There's a lot of volatility. They are essentially all over the place, which means you're constantly adjusting new pivots, looking for new pivots. So, and this takes work. You can't just do it, a couple minutes a day. This is work. And that's why I'm saying it takes a full-time dedication, which is something that is not appreciated by people who want to play the breakout game. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I'll give you one other example. It is for Spotify. And you can see this has been a thing of beauty. What can I say? Thing of beauty. And recently, just spiking up. Now, you should understand this thing I call 69.1, but that's a subject for another day. It's my own research number. If you understand what this means when you see a stock doing this, then you know to pay attention. So when the stock is breaking out here a couple times on the weekly, we are all over the place. In fact, the most recent breakout here after 1 week of rest. Now, you have to adjust the pivot after this seemingly shallow movement here. Just 1 month of rest. Remember, that's what I teach is the minimum requirement. 1 month of rest. You have to set the new breakout alert. And that's why I sent a breakout alert here. In fact, there were other breakouts in this run up here. You have to anticipate that at some point in the months ahead, there is going to be this hyperbolic move. But you have to understand what this means first and foremost. And the minimum requirements for the ultimate MOA, the breakout, have to be met as well. And again, for paid clients, searching for the ticker symbol spot, you can see here lots of mentioned last year. Why? Because we were adjusting for pivots. We were doing the work. We knew what the minimum requirements look like. And especially, I'm very happy that we had this breakout alert in September. This was perfect. Perfect timing. As I said, you got your 1 month of rest. And then in September, you have to understand that it's gonna move. So you have to do the work. You have to adjust for pivots. And if you don't have the time to do it, let me do the work for you. This is what I do all day. I've done this for 22 years plus. Every single day. Almost every hour of a trading session. I'm looking for breakout alerts. So if you're going to do it for yourself, understand it's going to take some work. There's a lot of movement in the stocks, so many stocks to track, so many movements, tiny movements. That means that we have to adjust for pivots all the time. By the way, just this last couple of weeks here, again, adjusting for pivots, constant work. You can see a spot was mentioned as it moved above 476. This is January, about 3 weeks ago. So 3 weeks ago, the breakout level was at 476 when I sent out that breakout alert, January 22nd. So what I was doing here was, in fact, I think I was on the weekly. Let's go to the weekly here. So what I was doing here is timing this breakout here. You have to adjust for this weekly closing high. So when you see a push above it, this is just recently under 500. Here in the last couple of weeks, the stock has gone to 630. Now, there's something else we need to discuss also that is not discussed a lot by breakout traders. It's the fact that you have to understand the movements of the general market. If you are playing breakouts when the market is about to roll over, for example, when the market is in this phase, breakouts are not going to work. But you actually want to be aggressive, on the other hand, when you can see that the market is starting to turn around after a pullback. This is when you should be aggressive. And these are things that are not discussed by breakout traders, but you have to understand these nuances. And also, as breakout traders, you have these periods where the general market itself is breaking out. What do you do when the general market is breaking out? Do you pull back from being aggressive, or do you stay aggressive? These are things that, as a trader, as a breakout trader, you have to understand. And obviously, when a market is breaking out and it meets the minimum requirements, you also have to be aggressive, buying, breakout, and quality breakouts. Now, if you don't know where to find the breakouts, either you can have a software, but personally, I don't use any software or any scans. I prefer to use the manual method because why? It gives me a sense of what is going on internally in terms of industries and in terms of the general market. So personally, over two decades doing this for paid clients and myself, of course, don't use any kind of AI or automated process or manual. But that's me. The point is, there's so many things when it comes to the breakout game that are not discussed. That's my point. And probably I'm just scratching the surface. But there's a lot of work that goes into it. So be ready to put in the work, or find somebody who can do the work for you so you can know what stocks are about to break out and stocks that meet high breakout standards. I am Eric with Mother.com. I leave you as I found you in the love light of the one infinite creator. Go forth rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one creator. Adonai.